What's going on, everyone? It's Georgia Bulldog Will here. I know that this game happened many weeks ago. It even happened before the New Year started. But this is going to be like a two-parter. I recap the Georgia-Florida State game, which it's really not going to take long to recap that game. And then I'm going to just basically do a recap of the entire season, like just how it all went. So Georgia beat Florida State 63-3. Oh my gosh. It wasn't surprising. I mean, Florida State really had so many opt-outs. They didn't have Jordan Travis. You know, they people thought that this would have been a matchup in the playoffs, but no, it was a matchup in the Orange Bowl. And if this was the playoffs, this would have been embarrassing. Well, Florida State wouldn't have gotten crushed because they would have had so many of their key guys in. If Travis didn't get hurt, then yeah, that's well. I mean, even without Travis, I think Florida State they'd keep it close. I mean, Travis is a big part, but even without Travis, I mean, Florida State's still pretty good. But they didn't just not have Travis. I think they were down to the third string quarterback and had so many guys opt out. Georgia had a few opt outs, but they didn't have Brock Bowers playing. They did have they had Carson play. Carson threw 2 touchdown passes. Kendall Milton ran for 2 touchdowns. I believe Milton declared for the draft. If I'm not wrong. Did he declare for the draft, or am I stupid? Did he? Yeah, he did. Oh, and Dejon Edwards. A lot of guys declared for the draft. I'm not gonna go through it. You guys can search it up. But I mean, yeah. What else do I have to say? It was just an embarrassing game to watch. I really could not watch that game. That was just, oh my gosh, that was just awful. It was what we all expected. I mean, Florida State. I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, that's how the Georgia Bulldogs ended the 2023 season, a 63-3 win over Florida State. So let's recap the entire season. So in week 1, Georgia beat UT Martin 48-7 at home. I was there. In week 2, Georgia beat Ball State 45-3 at home. I was there. Week 3, Georgia beat South Carolina 24-14 at home. And in week 4, Georgia beat UAB 49-21 at home. Week 5, Georgia beat Auburn 27-20 on the road. Week 6, Georgia beat Kentucky 51-13 at home. Week 7, Georgia beat Vanderbilt 37-20 on the road. Brock Bowers got hurt in that game. Georgia then had a bye week, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bye week for week 8. Then week 9 in the cocktail party, Georgia beat Florida 43-20 in Jacksonville. Week 10, Georgia beat Missouri 30-21 in Athens. Week 11, Georgia beat Ole Miss 52-17 in Athens. Week 12, Georgia beat Tennessee 38-10 in Knoxville. And week 13, the final game of the regular season, Georgia beat Georgia Tech 31-23 in Atlanta. So then, Georgia finishes first in the SEC East. They go to the SEC Championship and they face Bama to get a chance to take them down. But they don't. Georgia loses to Alabama 27-24 in the SEC Championship. Therefore, and then after that, Georgia did not get put in the top 4 for the college football playoff. So their time as defending back-to-back national champions was over. And then they close out the year with a 63-3 win over Florida State. So what do I have to say about this season? Well, mean, it was good, but, it was disappointing to lose to Bama again. Ended it on a high note. Carson Beck will be back next year. You got a lot of guys going to the draft. Next year, Georgia had a very good recruiting class for 2024, so I really am excited for a lot of these guys, especially Daniel Calhoun. I'm really excited for him too. I mean, all of these guys, all the guys in the 2024 class that signed. I mean, even Georgia got KJ Bolden. Georgia got KJ Bolden. No kidding. He signed. Georgia got KJ Bolden. And with Carson Beck returning to Georgia, Dylan Raiola flipped from Georgia to Nebraska, and he officially signed with the Cornhuskers. So Dylan Raiola in Nebraska. And I mean, I get it. You don't want to be riding the bench. I mean, you have Carson coming back next year for his senior year. You have Gunnar Stockton, Brock Vandagriff transferred to Kentucky. You have Carson, you have Gunnar, and you have Ryan Puglisi. Yeah. Oh, and Jackson Muschamp. Can't forget him. There's a whole bunch of guys. Ryan Puglisi's coming in for next year. I think the offensive line will still be solid. You have 2 running backs declaring for the draft, so next year is going to be a big year for Branson Robinson. He missed this entire season with a bad injury. Andrew Paul's got a chance to really step up next year. And for wide receivers, McConkey's going to the draft. And you still have, or did Rosemy Jack Saint do this? I don't think Rosemy Jack Saint did the same. Marcus Rosemy Jack Saint. He also did declare for the NFL draft. It's been a while since all this happened. I mean, a lot's been going on. A bunch of these guys declared for the draft. So in the tight end position, you'll have like Lawson Lucky, and you'll have Pierce Sperlin. Brock Bowers really showed that he's one of the greatest players in Georgia football history. One of the greatest all-time players in Georgia football history. It's amazing what he did. Delp has a big year next year, so that's the guy. Delp, he's the guy next year. Next year's a big year for him. He's got to take that main role. He's got that. He's going to be the lead guy for the tight ends. But it was a fun season. Sad that they lost to Bama, and sad that Georgia lost to Bama, and they did not get to three-peat. Which, going into the season, I said Georgia was not going to three-peat. I was like, there's no way. I just did not think that this would be possible. And I mean, winning 2 in a row is very hard. Winning 3 in a row, that's a whole nother story. But we'll just see see if Kirby decides to see who Kirby gets through the transfer portal. I like the 2024 recruiting class. I'm excited for Carson Beck's senior year. Defense should still be pretty good. It's just 2024. I mean, every year for Georgia is a year to look forward to. I mean, you're always excited for Georgia football every year. So, time for a long off season before they hit the field in September when they open the 2024 season at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta against Clemson. Yes, Georgia will face Clemson in their season opener next year. That'll be fun. So, this concludes the Georgia Bulldogs 2023 football season. Let's see, they finished with a record of 13-1. I will see you guys later, and go Dogs.